Hello, I'm now going to talk about gender neutral terms and gender specific terms in languages. In the past, in Britain, we had terms like policeman, fireman, stewardess and things like that. While they are still used today, they're not used as much. Generally, in England and Britain in general, and many other parts of the world, we've been trying to move to more gender-neutral terms. For example, if you read in the news, they will talk about a police officer more than a policeman. Again, it is a firefighter rather than a fireman. We're trying to move in Britain towards more gender neutral terms so that the same word could be used to refer to either a man or a woman. You are more likely to hear about a police officer than a policewoman, for example. Even though there is the term policewoman or policeman or police officer, generally in the press these days they're more likely, I believe, to talk about police officers, because it does not emphasise the gender. However, it appears in France they're trying to do the opposite of this. It appears that in France there weren't any specific words for the female equivalent of a man doing that job. So now the French language has been changed, not specifically to add gender neutral terms, but to add terms which are specific to women. It's like adding the term policewoman, for example, rather than the term police officer. Now, is this a step in the right direction, or is it a step in the wrong direction? Is it highlighting women's gender? Is it making women proud to be women, not hiding the fact that women are women? Or does it mean that it is further going to highlight a difference between the sexes rather than trying to create a world where the gender is irrelevant? I mean, for example, unless you're a religious fanatic, do you really care whether the bus is being driven by a man or a woman? Really? As long as you get there? I said the religious stuff for a reason. For example, in some countries like Iran, if the woman drives the bus, then the men have to sit at the back of the bus. Whereas if a man drives a bus, the men get to sit at the front of the bus, which means they will be able to get on and off quicker. So some men may prefer to go on a bus driven by a man just so that they can get on and off the bus quicker. No other reason than that. It seems stupid, but that's the culture in Iran. Whereas, for example, in Britain, it doesn't matter whether a man or a woman drives the bus, you can sit anywhere you like on the bus, for example. So it doesn't really make any difference, unless you just want to have a good look at the bus driver for about 5 seconds until you take your seat. So, this is the question. Should the world be more gender neutral, where we hide our gender, where the gender's getting harder and harder to identify? Or do we make people proud of their gender and allow both men and women to do similar jobs but have separate terms for the job depending on whether it's done by a man or by a woman. For example, often people talk about waiter and waitress, for example. I'd have to think very hard to think of a gender neutral term for it. There's possibly one, but I don't think it's that popular. And if it is, I can't think of it immediately. So, should we talk about stewards and stewardesses? Or should we talk about flight attendants? Should we talk about policemen and policewomen? Or should we talk about police officers? Ideally, I think in many normal jobs where, you know, the gender's not really essential to the job, it should be gender neutral. So eventually we stop caring about whether it's done by a man or a woman, and just who actually does it and whether they're competent or not. Okay, that's my view, and I've been showing you a page from the BBC news website, okay? So I'll repeat, that's a page from the BBC News website about changes in France to add extra words to the French language which are feminine forms of masculine words for jobs which were traditionally done by men. Okay, thanks for listening. Goodbye.